Ready to go to work? Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be farm-based once again, and we are going to head on over to work over at the farm. So getting in the truck, taking a really short drive over to the farmyard. Gonna go see what's on the list today. We did a little route selling some fruit the other day, so I think that it's mainly going to be putting away the refrigerator trailer, which in the farm tour you saw was hooked up to the Peterbilt truck. We're going to service that up, put it away, empty all the stuff out of it, and probably move some equipment around the yard. We're starting to get geared up for harvest, so we may do some work on the combines, but with just little things here and there to get things prepped. So let's head on over to the farmyard, see what's on the docket for today.
They'll say it's no laughing matter. They say the application didn't come from their office, and that third-party groups often use my dead cat just to receive
town right now. And Christian, if you have been in the market, we have some.
Well, I drove into the farmyard looking for my dad, getting my tasks for the day, and couldn't find him. So I think he must be out doing some kind of farm-related manner. It's always easy to tell if he's home or not by ringing the doorbell. If you hear his dog bark, he's home. If his dog doesn't bark, he probably took her somewhere, so he might be out checking fields. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna drive out and check some fields, buzz around a little bit. Maybe we run across him, maybe he gives us a call. But my dad's essentially my boss, so he's the one giving me the tasks to do daily. We usually use Google Sheets and stuff like that to put together lists that we work through, and you know, there's times where one of us is in the field, one of us isn't, so we can work on other projects. Other times we do stuff together. But for now, until he gets back to me, we're gonna check some fields and see what we can see. This is the main thing I wanted to check out. Got the canola blooming now. You can see these nice yellow fields. The bloom's in full effect. Now this canola is not great. It's been better in past years. You can see some gaps, a little bit sparse here and there, some gaps, but the blooms look nice and it bloomed even. It didn't bloom even at first. We thought maybe the spray did some damage, but it turns out the whole thing did bloom, so that's pretty cool. So the canola blooms like this, bright yellow, and then we actually wait for it to dry up before we harvest it. So it's gonna get kind of crispy, so to say. Definitely dry and brittle pods for the little seeds that the canola comes from. Your vegetable oil, canola oil, stuff like that comes from canola. So we'll harvest it once it's dry and easily broken apart into the combine. But that looks pretty good, and it's blooming. It's probably the prettiest crop around here when it's blooming. So I wanted to also go check on the height of the sunflowers, and I think I see my dad coming down the road. All right, now we're gonna check out the sunflowers. This is right by our house. You can see it right over there. Right by the yard. Now, the canola wasn't super thick, but it is blooming and looks nice. The sunflowers look really nice and seeded right down the rows. This is kind of the part that was a little bit more wet, sketchy. So let's get in here a little bit more. But look at that plant. Got a nice big plant here. Sunflowers. So this is gonna bloom. Big sunflower head up there like you would expect. And once again, just like the canola, let this dry out and then harvest it. We use our 4440 to plant sunflowers. That little tractor in the farm tour video. A little bit slower process than air seeding canola and soybeans and stuff like that. But they look good this year, so worth it. All right, I see my dad just pulled into the yard. Looks like he went to town or something, driving around in his van. So we're gonna head over to the farmyard, start our tasks for the day. It's not too terribly early, but this is the day off of my remote job from Texas when I lived in Texas. So today is all about the farm work, which is why I picked up the camera to record today. So let's head on over to the yard and see again what we're supposed to do today. So we have a whole list of stuff to do. One of those is doing the semi-trailers, getting the refrigerator trailer all packed up. So that's where we're starting. All right, so we're in the cat shed. My dad's gonna move the semi out to the middle of the yard so we can unload that refrigerator trailer, get the grain trailer back hooked up, and the refrigerator trailer put away for the year. Part of what we're doing today is going to be a little bit of servicing to Part of what we're going to be doing today is a little bit of servicing to the 9760 and the 9610 up there. So we're going to be taking the sieves out, I do believe, and doing a little bit of other work on the combines. In my farm tour video, I talked about the Tetris puzzle of getting everything in here. So you can see it's all really tight. This truck's kind of wedged in here. So I'm going to back out everything, clear out the shed so we're ready to get the combines out and ready to service while he gets the truck ready. All right, everybody, just finished lunch at the house. Got all the pups with me right now. Bert, Nin, Pip. And we're going back to work. It did get a little bit hot, actually. Sun starting to kind of beat down on me. Might be the black shirt. Might be these hotter summers. So the stuff in the combine we're not gonna do yet because that's a fairly metal situation, which would end up being quite toasty. I'm gonna do a few different things here. I'm gonna grease the tractor, I'm gonna water some trees, and I'm going to get a box of parts down for the combine for us to do in a future day. Now this afternoon, I might actually haul a load of barley into the grain elevator, so we'll see about that. That would make for some good video content. Otherwise, just gonna do odd jobs around the yard and continue to do what I do. So they're not too big of trees or anything. We'll just haul down water in this jug. All right, so we'll leave that to fill up. Go grab a grease gun. Test to make sure there's grease in there. That one seems pretty weak. That one's pumping some grease. We'll take this guy out with us, go check on our water. All right. servicing stuff on the farm is definitely greasing equipment. You'll see us do this all the time. This one on the tractor isn't too complicated. Some are more complicated, like the combines through harvest. You kind of have to grease all the time, almost every day that you're gonna harvest on some of them, and some of them not every day. But there are a lot of regular greasings that take place. Air seeder and stuff like that needs to be greased as well. So this one we don't have that many to do, actually, only 2, I believe. 4 maybe. So I'm gonna do just right here. You can see the little zerks, what they're called. Take the grease. One right there, another one right there. This just keeps everything gliding smoothly and not breaking. Shoot a little bit in each one. Last 2 right here. So each zerk has a certain amount of hours. Like every so many hours you put on the tractor, you got to put more grease into it. Like I said, some are more than others. So some are like, you know, every day it ends up being. So you just pump grease in until you see it start coming out wherever it's actually greasing, in this case right there. And you're good to go on this one for quite a while. We're gonna go shoot over to my parents' backyard, the farmhouse's backyard, and water some trees and continue on. I like buzzing around with this little Rhino. We usually use the golf cart, like I said in the farm tour, my wife and me do. I left it with her because she's pregnant, I'm not, so I figured it's good to leave her with some transportation if you wanted to come over. Looks like we got some leakage here. Oops. I'm gonna throw some water on these trees. So these trees right here, this is a big one right here, and this actually, we had a few of them lined up right here and they collapsed in a storm several years ago. These pine trees were planted and doing pretty well. These are the attempts at new, larger trees. Trees are watered, they're thriving. We're gonna head over and get a box down at the skid steer of combine parts, and then start working on a solution to keep birds out of the refrigerator trailer. That's what we were working on this morning mainly, was unloading that and servicing that and getting it ready for storage for the winter and for the whole year. But birds do like to build their nests in there because there's some holes for the refrigeration, the airflow. So we're trying to figure out a way to stop that from happening by putting some boards over there, rigging up some kind of system to block out all those holes. I'll be working on that this afternoon. Probably won't film that because that'll just be a little bit of trial and error trying to get something in there. But I'll get the skid steer stuff, and if I haul a load of barley, I'll take the camera with me as well then. So just pretty much doing a whole bunch of odd jobs, and that's kind of how it goes right now in this time of year on the farm, because harvest is right around the corner. Went out and looked at the crops this morning. You saw the canola, the sunflowers. They're all growing pretty fast actually, and it's coming. And there's some servicing to do on the combines, but it's not quite there yet. And this is now the patient waiting period of farming, right? Where it's, you dig up the soil, you plant the seeds, you spray the crops, you fertilize the crops, and now it's waiting time until you can harvest, reaping what you sow. And in a way, it's the hardest part of farming because you're kind of anxious. You see winter right around the corner and you're ready just to get at it, finish out the year and do the projects you set out to do. But it's also kind of a nice time you can enjoy some good weather, hit some golf balls, drive some boats, and do odd jobs like this around the farm. So this is what it is right now. A little trickier to film than the tractor stuff, but I'll still try to take the camera with me. So let's continue on. No more wasting time. got the pickup back from town. We went into town, which is kind of like the town between us and the main town, where like there's actual stuff like a grocery store and all that. This town is pretty small, which is mainly the grain elevator. Speaking of that, we did call the guy at the grain elevator about hauling barley possibly, and he will take a load of barley tomorrow and or Friday, depending on if the grain is dry or not. So a lot of hauling barley might be done in the next day or so, probably not this afternoon because he wants that first load tomorrow. So we went in anyways because it was pretty hot out and we wanted to kind of get a little break from the sun. Put that board on the refrigerator trailer to keep the birds out of it as it's stored for the winter, and we went in to pick up the truck, which I'm driving right now, driving it back. So everything checked out just fine. We just went in, it's an old farm truck, went in to get a little check engine light looked at. It's almost 4:30, so we're going to be wrapping up the day in the next couple hours. That's kind of, like I said, how the days go in this time during the summer in North Dakota on the farm. You're kind of playing it by ear a little bit, depending what the weather does, depending what your list says you need to do, and depending if the grain elevator takes grain. All of that while you're being patient and waiting for harvest to come. That's it for today's video though, everybody. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. There's more great stuff to come. I like doing this documentation style of filming where it's nothing too serious, no crazy edits, nothing too complicated or time consuming. It's just me, a camera, and my normal day-to-day life on the farm now that we've moved here. Thanks again for watching. See you guys later.